Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Hey, Bri, what a nice understated intro you have for our podcast, as opposed to other ones that you're involved in.
What do you mean, Jim?
Mr. Son of a Bitch. So, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 84 of the Power Hour. Thanks once again for joining in. So,
Jim,
for those
don't
of you,
fuck up our intro.
oh, it is not fucked up, Brian. See, for those of you out there who don't know, Brian just started a horror podcast with his wife. Cute little show called Home is Where the Horror Is. Nice idea. So I'm like, all right, let me see what they're doing with this. And I turn it on, and all of a sudden I'm hearing sound effects and music and stuff spliced together. And I'm going, what the fuck is this?
Well, Jim, in all fairness, you and I talked, and we didn't really want that for ours.
I don't remember this conversation.
You don't remember most conversations.
Irregardless.
If you want a spliced together intro, I will gladly do that.
No. It's too late now. Or leave it to the people. If you want it, let us know. If not, yeah.
Yeah.
We just get right to brass tacks. But I heard this and I was like, son of a bitch.
Jim, do you want me to do some cute gamer dialogue in front of ours? I can do it. Don't worry.
I'm sure you can.
I can. Oh,
you can make me rue this day. You're gonna make me rue it, aren't you?
You just gave me a great idea. You know all that B-roll I have of things you say that are really goofy. Yeah, you know what? Maybe by next podcast. I won't say by. Actually, maybe by the time you're listening on. I'm not sure. I might have a little something just for Jim.
Hoisted by my own petard. Well, episode 85 is going to be a must listen.
Wait, I thought this was episode 84.
This is episode 84.
That's what I'm saying. By the time this releases, they might have already heard something, Jim.
Oh, going to be Johnny Go-Getter. Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Son of a bitch. Well, then I guess the intro will explain itself, won't it? Yes, once again, hello and welcome everyone to episode 84.
What's going on, everyone? What you drinking tonight, Chambers?
Well, Brian, I am keeping the old Halloween season going strong with the Sam Adams Jacko Pumpkin Ale. Comes in at 4.4% alcohol by volume, 8 IBUs, so you can only imagine that it is extremely smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Jacko's cinnamon and nutmeg aromas recall memories of freshly baked pumpkin pie. It has the ideal balance of seasonal spices with a crisp, refreshing finish. This pumpkin ale pairs perfectly with the transition of summer into cooler days and nights. And, yeah. I mean, the smell, you don't get it as much, but the second you take that first sip, you're just like, oh yeah, that's pumpkin pie.
I've had that for sure, and I don't remember what I gave it, and it may actually even be a review on our site, to be honest. But right. I've always enjoyed it. To me, it's like one of those above average pumpkin beers. I wouldn't say it's top tier, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, like if you like a good pumpkin pie kind of flavor to your pumpkin beers, like this will definitely be, this is up there with like Pumpkin, where it's like in that veil.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so me, I still have my shitload that I have to offload somehow of my fest beers before I really keep diving in harder with the pumpkin beers. So I'm actually, Jim and I just had these yesterday, the Narragansett Fest Marzen Lagers. Now, we've talked about this. This is the same brand that comes from the Jaws movie of their regular lager. What color is that can? Red and white?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so is that only East Coast? I'm actually not sure. I know it's from New York, but I don't know if it has wide distribution. Either way, it's one of the cheaper beers of the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay. Whenever I see cheaper beers that we know and love, and when they do any type of seasonal releases, like when Lion's Head did a pumpkin beer or an IPA or shit like that, I'm like, I have to try it. It's more flavorful than its regular lager, but if you're comparing it to a real fest beer, it won't hold up as well. But it's one of those ones, and Jim coined it perfectly when he was drinking it. Like, you first have a sip and you're kind of like, eh. And then you keep going and you're like, okay, this isn't bad. So it's just an easy pounder. It's only 5.5%. And, oh, they do have a little thing on the back.
Really?
Hi, neighbor. What better way to celebrate Oktoberfest than with a classic German-style Marzen? Narragansett Fest blends a rich malt profile with a subtly crisp hoppiness for a taste that even Gambrinus, the patron saint of beer, would find refreshing. So we offer this beer as a tribute to him, which is fitting, as his statue toasted all arriving visitors and workers outside our original Cranston, Rhode Island brewery for decades. Huh. I did not know Gambrinus was the patron saint of beer.
I'm going to call bullshit on this.
But Jim, it's on a can. It must be real.
Patron saint of, no, not beer. Stupid ass fingers. Someone named Arnold. I just wrote in patron saint of beer, and it's Arnold or Arnulf of Oldenburg.
Jim, you could always just write in Gambrinus.
I don't know how to spell Gambrinus.
Gambrinus. Duh. You obviously didn't grow up with monkey phonetics.
Legendary cultural hero of Europe, celebrated as an icon of beer and brewing. Okay, so maybe he's an icon. Maybe he's not a saint. I don't know. I don't do research.
Is he the showstopper?
Oh, he's not. He's not even the dead man. He's not even the stinger.
So yeah, I'm doing that, and then I'm switching over to a legit-ass German hacker. Sure, as you can see,
I can't.
You can't. But it's imported from Germany into New York, but it's one of the legit German breweries, so it'll be a nice, like, trying the lower class shit and then trying the real legit thing. So
I will say, after having tried that Narragansett, if I had to choose between the two Narragansetts, I would go with the standard. But
really,
yeah, I mean, what do you call it? I've had enough Narragansett too as what do you call it? Enough shows that I've played where that's like the cheap. It's either that or
I was gonna say that was
PBR.
your like, payment or something. Yeah,
yeah, it's
Those
either
two
that or
are always
PBR that are on the
synonymous.
bottom. Yeah, and like I'm drinking Narragansett all day over PBR.
I agree with you there. Even at the one of the places we go for happy hours, that was like always a kind of, for some reason, on tap. Whether it was on tap or in cans, it was definitely the cheaper item. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go with that.
$2 for a pounder.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going. And from this point forward, no matter what, by next podcast, I'm strictly doing the pumpkin beers because I have a lot of those as well.
There you go. Well, Brian, that'll lead us into our next thing, and I think we'll both have a lot to say about what we've been playing lately.
Yeah, and I'm kind of, I want us to save a lot of it, obviously, but we talked about the last podcast, and Among Us, which has been gaining a lot of traction. It maybe already went over its bubble, but Jim had played it a tiny bit, and then I jumped on a bandwagon. I was like, let me try this, see if it's any fun. It's that kind of perfect. You got a couple minutes. You want to get a couple games in, depending on how fast it goes. It's weird, because it's like the gameplay is... There's nothing to talk about. Like, you do menial tasks. It's all about the psychology of, can you trick people into thinking you're not a killer when you are the killer, or convincing people you're really not the killer, and just how persuasive can you be, and how dumb some people can be that you play with is the easiest way I can sum up that game.
And how sus people are. It's all about the sus.
I hate that so much.
Brian's a meme, just like the game.
I know. I hate that that's such a meme. But it's addicting. There's no, I mean, I don't even know if I would call the game fun, but I will call it addicting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that has become a lunch break poop time game for sure. And besides that, I started, what else have you been playing? I guess we'll go with you still while you're talking.
Really, honestly, since we last recorded, I went away for my anniversary, came back, did shit all weekend. So I haven't played a game except for today, and I did a little bit of Call of Duty. So I haven't touched a game other than Among Us and that. So it's an extremely slow gaming week for me.
Yeah, I didn't have a shitload of time to do much either, but I did finally stick my there's some B-roll for you. I did finally stick my tip into some Mario 35 yesterday. So, for those of you out,
some of the old in out.
didn't even take that long, but For those of you who don't know, it's basically like Tetris 99, but with Mario this time. So you're running along, hopping on Goombas, trying to outlast all the other players. Only 35 players, not 100, but yeah, it's fun. As a guy who was a Sega kid growing up, I'm at a stark disadvantage to all the Nintendo fans out there. But so far, my best finish was third. Like anyone I know who grew up with Nintendo, they've had a couple first places by now. So, is what it is. It's a work in progress, but it's fun.
Jim,
I'm sure you'll get first before me. I don't care. I'm
say.
sure you will. I'm not even going to argue it.
All right, well, that's good. You know what? This is progress, Trim, because you've learned since all the shit you talked about Tetris.
I just know your levels of spite.
Is it free, though?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's an interesting concept. Is it a certain level that just is on repeat, or is it like how is it set up? Are
you actually unlock levels as like you play more and you level up more and you unlock skins and shit like that. But you basically start with like 1-1, and then you can go to 1-2, or hit the warp pipes to go to a different level, or to go back to 1-1. Or, sometimes as the game progresses and it gets, further along, it'll just warp you to a Bowser level and shit like that. So it's interesting how they do it. And like
so what's the point of, do you like, as you progress, is that similar to like clearing blocks on Tetris where it's sending something to somebody else?
Yeah, basically you can the best way to chain combos to screw over other players is to chain hopping on Goombas, or if you hit a Koopa with the shell and you keep running with it and you kill a shitload of stuff, that can throw a ton of time at people. So it's basically about building your own time, taking it away from other people, and at the same time you want to get coins, because every 20 coins you can hit for a random drop. So you can get a mushroom or a POW block, which will kill everything on the screen, or if you're really lucky, you'll hit the star, shit like that. So it's cool little give and take there, because in Tetris, how you can go against attackers or, people who are close to KO, you can attack people with more rings or people who are going faster through the levels than you are. So again, you have that little bit of strategy there. Though I find myself fucking with it way less in this game, and I'm just simply trying to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll give that a try. That sounds like something that would be up my alley, but
they did a good job with it. I'll give Nintendo that.
I mean, hey, honestly, that is their answer. If that's going to be their answer to multiplayer, I say keep doing it. Do it with all your first party titles, because it's a really fun idea to do. You're competing against other people and you can kind of screw them over. So that's smart and good idea on sec. And you know what? The best part about it is they're picking up the idea, make it free. And there's things in there that you can buy that I'm sure people do buy. So it's a win-win for everyone in one of these cases.
I'm not sure there's anything to buy yet, but they'll probably pull a Tetris 99 and eventually put stuff in. So, yeah. Get them hooked. Nice. It's like heroin. Get them hooked with the free stuff and then slowly start charging as you go on if you want more.
It's a crude analogy, but I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting one for us to try. Yeah, and then we're going to save the rest of our talk about Among Us for a little bit later.
Yep, because that will be another topic.
Haha.
One of our standard topics. Probably overrated, underrated at the end of the show. Stick around.
Damn it, Jim, you just gave it away. I don't want to give spoilers.
Everyone tunes out now.
All right, Chambers, so what do we got from Patreon?
Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single edition of this Power Hour podcast. First
Thank
up,
you guys all once again before Jim goes on.
Yes,
truly appreciate you.
For the love of God, I don't know why you stick around, but thank you. First up, from Game Whisperer Dean. How many tiers will there be in years when it comes to Sony turning off the PS5 servers and the digital-only console variant becomes an ornament?
Wait, hold on. Read that again. How many tiers will there be when...
How many tiers will there be in years to come when Sony turns off the PS5 servers and the digital-only version of the console becomes an ornament? Do you know what he's getting at? How there's the physical and the digital-only ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
But why would they turn off the servers at all if they're going to digital only?
because eventually they're going to turn off servers for machines that no one's using or supporting. It's like the Wii turning off the eShop in the Virtual Console.
But you're saying like turning off for previous consoles, not the newest one.
Well, yeah, he's talking about years and years
Okay.
down the line.
Gotcha.
Like this, like how this is like the first generation where it's like the real push by all the console makers to have a digital only variant.
I'm sorry. I was really slow with that. I get it. So basically, if just like with the Xbox, if you get the digital only version and they do eventually cut off the servers, then you just do have a big hunk of plastic that what the hell are you going to do with it?
Right.
You know what? Like, I don't know if they would be as ballsy to fully cut it off. I think PlayStation and Xbox they've maintained their online like PS what's it called
PS Plus.
PS Plus and obviously Xbox Gold in their stores. So I think you can probably always get a version of it. I doubt it'll ever just fully make it obsolete. You may not be able to run almost any of the new games, but yeah, I don't think that'll be as big of a worry unless you're literally talking 20 years down the line and maybe there is no more PlayStation. So then it would be obsolete. I'm more interested in the thing you and I've talked about with these games that are more and more becoming just like the physical media itself is really just a download code.
Uh-huh.
Like if somehow they do get tied to servers and you get the wrong update or don't get the update and it becomes the same thing, like all the games you have for newer consoles become useless too, like because we know they're just digital keys. So hopefully that never happens, but then again, if it does, the one nice thing about being a gamer is you'll have whatever new game, and then you'll probably have emulated or pirated versions of all the games that you just lost. So that's the only, I guess, silver lining I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about it at first of like the idea of just Sony going away, because that would be some shit where like, because I was thinking more of the scenario like down the line you get like your uncle's old PlayStation 5 and he's got a bunch of games on it, but he lets his PlayStation Plus, stuff slip away. So you can't access the server, so it doesn't like see the code and let you do it. And then you just have a big chunk of, a big console there that can do nothing. But that would be interesting too if like, some act of God happens and Sony goes belly up and then all of a sudden it's like, oops, well, you can't log into shit anymore. I hope they have the fail-safes built in there where, you can still play it off your console even if you're not connected to the internet, but knowing these companies, a lot of them are going to require that connection too in the future. But a lot of games do it now. So, yeah, I don't think. I think what is considered retro gaming for these generations will be much different than what we have now, if at all.
What will be interesting, and the only thing I kind of like about.
So the short answer is yes. There will be many tears for fears.
There would be many tiers, but I think there will be so many options, and people have already had the foresight at this point. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying there will be pirates who will preserve the games you like, and one way or another, you'd be able to play them again. That's the only way I can say there's a silver lining there.
Yeah, I mean, because even in this day and age, we already have games for this past generation, like that Godzilla game that no one liked. Didn't have a big run. It got noisy bitch back there. Didn't have a big run in physical form. It got pulled from the digital shelves. So, I mean, unless you have the physical form where you never delete off your system, it's basically dead. So
yeah,
we're already kind of seeing that. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, or what fail-safes, if any, are actually built in. But no, it's a good noodle scratcher there.
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Dean.
Yep. Next up from Bird and Retinas. What is the nicest thing that you can say about the game or games that you hate the most?
The nicest thing we can say about the game or games we hate. Well, so I feel like we just answered kind of what are games we don't like, but those were more games we don't like that are popular.
I mean, I can start like I talked about last week with Uncharted. I really liked the platforming in it, and the graphics are beautiful. I just hated the combat and how they shoehorned it in every time, and it broke the flow. So Like if it was just a straight platformer with like very sprinkled in action segments here and there, I probably would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, a tougher one would be like Superman on the Game Boy, which ugh, that fucking game.
That's what I'm trying
I
to
think the music was decent. I think the music was okay, and the graphics were okay-ish. That's a toughie.
That's what. So I'm trying to stick with. See, you dislike a game that is pretty well renowned from a technical standpoint as being unquestionably
Or
impressive.
all right, here's one, Brian. Let's just let's go to the archives of the page. Like
That's
say
what I mean, yeah.
say something nice about Karate Champ.
I did say that when we played that, I did like that music. That do 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 do. You remember that? Like
I
main theme?
remember. Yep.
I liked that, and I didn't mind some of the sound effects within the game. It says, and they tried to give you different backgrounds. That's the best I can give that.
Oh, did we go into detail on those backgrounds?
Well, what else could we do, Jim? There was only the white guy and the red guy.
That's very true. But yeah,
Jim, okay, I'm gonna ask you.
all right.
Say something nice about Best of the Best.
It's got very fluid animation. Very impressive looking for the NES. And on its port on the PC Engine. So yes, it's a very nice looking game. I will give it that.
Okay.
It's impressively smooth.
Now, Jim, say something nice about Wayne Gretzky hockey.
The cutscenes in the opening animation are pretty well drawn and designed. Like those are kind of surprisingly impressive. So it's kind of where the fun ends.
See, you could have asked me about a game, and it would have been more challenging for me. But I'm not going to give you any hints. So.
Ugh. Well, this has to be too easy. But say something nice about Parappa.
Okay, so that was the
That was the one.
Okay.
Okay.
It's our most viewed video.
Not the cutscene video, you prick.
I know. Parappa.
Still chaps my ass. That's our most viewed video.
Nice. I don't. It's adorable. That's the best I can give that. The songs aren't well written enough for me to think they were catchy or clever.
Oh, Mussolini's song's fucking great. Come on now.
And obviously definitely not the gameplay. And the characters did nothing for me. Like and the art style, I wouldn't say I like it, but I'll say it's unique. If that makes sense. I feel like that was a predecessor for like games like Paper Mario and things of that nature. But yeah, it's adorable. I'll say that.
There you go.
I hate you.
Good question, though. Next up, from Eric Lowacki. Aside from maybe a couple of passing references, as far as I can tell, you guys have never reviewed a single Gex game. You would be correct. Any reason in particular, or is it just the obvious we didn't play it much?
Yeah, just haven't played it. Neither of us own it, to my knowledge.
I own two of them now, but I never did as a kid.
Okay, yeah, I did play them as a kid. In fact, the original Gex has one of my favorite, I'll call it like random horror theme levels where you're in a cemetery and you come across like a Jason Freddy mix thing. But yeah, that was a game that I enjoyed, but we have such a back catalog of games. So that's one that we just never even really talked about, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one that never really comes up in conversation. So like I just said, I didn't play it as a kid. I have the first one on PlayStation, and I have the second one, I think, on N64. And I maybe spent like an hour with each. I like the first one more, the 2D platformer than the rip-off 3D collectathon that all the other Gexes turned into. But yeah, it's just one that I've never been like, oh, I'm going to play Gex tonight.
Because you waste your time with other games.
Better games.
I don't know about that.
Much better. But no, good question. Maybe down the line that's
Sure.
something... Maybe that's one we can do. Maybe some future $5 patron will be like, "Hey, you should play Gex." We're like, "Damn it!" And I mean, okay.
That'd be much better than well, I'll just save that.
Oh, then Donkey Kong 64? Sure as fuck would. Speaking of Donkey Kong 64, hello, Gamer Astral. With his beautiful question of our least favorite Resident Evil game and why.
Ooh. I let's make this more interesting and not include any of the spin-offs. Like, let's keep it to the main series.
Damn it, I was going to say Revelations too.
Yeah, because it's too easy to include. Well, no, okay. You know what? Revelations can. I feel like that can count as the main series. But I still wouldn't put Revelations as worst, and it's really Revelations too, because Revelations is good.
Mm-hmm.
Man, after
are you gonna do it, Bri? Are you gonna say it?
Yeah, fuck Code Veronica. I'm tired of it. Like, it's still the most overrated of the Resident Evils. It's a real. You know what? Here's my deal. I do think it's a better game than Resident Evil 0. And 0 probably be my last choice. But the amount of people that love Code Veronica, and I still, like, I was the kid who I, like, was able to finagle enough money to get her to get a Dreamcast because of Code Veronica. And, you know, graphically and at the time, it was great, but, like, there was just so much about that game I just didn't like, and having gone through it again when we did that review, I just walked away from it like, okay, I'll never play that again. And like I said, Zero's biggest issue is just that it's just so goddamn grindy with the back and forth switching between the two characters and dropping items and this and that. Otherwise, that game looks damn good. I like some of the monsters, and the story's a little more interesting, but yeah, I have to go Code Veronica is my least favorite.
Yeah, Revelations 2 for me, for like the easy answer, just because I could barely play it because like the choppiness of it made me sick. But yeah, I'd probably go Code Veronica 2. And my reason for it is like I should never like not remember the tail end of a Resident Evil game, but like when I was watching like your clips as we were doing a review and stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, you fight like a giant insect monster at the end. Or, oh yeah, you fight Wesker's like kids or nieces or nephews, whatever they were, those twins. Yep. And like Wesker like is like turns into like a robot body kind of thing. It's like all these things I vaguely remember, but like nothing stood out. And like for a mainline Resident Evil game, like stuff should stick out. Like even in 0, like I remember the Scorpion boss in the beginning, or I remember Billy just in general, or I remember the other doctor who turned into like a leech monster and shit like that. So at least like that was more memorable. So I might be with you. I think Code Veronica is at my bottom too. Brian, we didn't say 6.
Fuck that. 6 is not that. 6 has its issues, but you know what its issue is? It's like
overstays its welcome.
Yeah, it's like a girlfriend that's suffocating that you date, and you're like, wow, she will not leave me alone. Like, I want attention, but I don't need this much attention. Like, that game just gives you too much. And it's a weird thing to say, but it's like, Jesus Christ, I didn't need this game to be 24 hours long for a Resident Evil game. So
that blowjob starts pretty good, but then she just keeps sucking after you're done, and then you just want her to get away from you.
Damn it, Jim!
I am full of analogies tonight.
But no, I still, and you and I have talked about many times, and you're the Twitter guy, and I feel like you probably see it more. What is it that people cite that they love so much about Code Veronica? Because I do often see when people make lists or whatever, it's in top 5s at a minimum. And like, what is it we're not seeing that everyone else seems to be thinking or seeing? Like, 'cause I still don't get it.
I think for a lot of people, it was probably their first Resident Evil. That's what I think it really comes down to. But then I also, like, there's always that, like, sect of, like, hardcore Dreamcast defenders who, like, no matter what you say, it's the best console ever made. It's like, okay. But, like, they'll defend any game that's on there to the death and put it above other consoles. But, yeah, I just think in general, like, I just think it's one that either hit people at the right time or it was really their first Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Because I can't see how, like, the least violent Resident Evil is going to be the one that sticks out to, like, a teenager. That's like saying GTA 2 is like your favorite GTA. Like, there's a few people out there who say that, but they're few and far between.
They're British.
No, the British, that was just an expansion of 1. There was, like, an actual GTA 2 that, like, toned down the violence and cursing. And
Really?
then 3 happened. Yeah.
Huh.
The gameplay's
I
better than
the
1.
original GTA and GTA 2. Actually, oddly enough, my cousin at the time gave me pirated copies for the PlayStation. I didn't even know that was a thing back then, so I don't know where he got them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would play it off them. I still have them. And I mean, those games I friggin' loved. And like I said, I was crazy impressed when it went to 3. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know there was it was that toned down.
I actually want to go back and eventually track down Chinatown Wars on the PSP because that's like the last top-down, like that old-style GTA game that they ever made. I would love to see them like make a budget title of like a GTA like that again, but Rockstar will never do that.
No, they're swimming in too much money, Jim.
Yeah, it's true. Like you can get the Retro City Rampages of the world and shit like that, but yeah, I don't think Rockstar's ever going down that again. But no, good question.
Very good question, and yeah. Damn Code Veronica.
Says enough. And last up from G to the next level, what is another Capcom franchise that you would love to see get a remaster treatment like Resident Evil did? Ho-hoo. Hoo-hoo-hoo.
Ooh, I don't want to go obvious. So I'm going to go Darkstalkers, and I want to see it in the engine of Mortal Kombat. Like that style, like more brutal, less cartoony. And I know that can't really happen, but that's just where my mind went right away because I'm trying to stay away from some of the more obvious franchises.
Yeah, like part of me's almost like wanted to jump into like say like a Ghouls and Ghosts, but then again like Maximo already was that. Like the Ghouls and Ghosts, but it was like a third person hack and slash kind of game. More like Devil May Cry-ish, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess that's where my mind went, even though like I'm kind of sick of those kind of games anyway. But yeah, what's one that I would really want to play? That's a good question.
Yeah, like I'm trying. Like honestly, Capcom. I'm looking up right now, and I'm thinking franchises from them, and even if I give them shit, they don't mess up that often. So for you, Jim, I mean, I don't know if you'd want it. I know you were into the Devil May Cry games.
Yeah, I loved them,
but they don't really need to change.
No, they really don't. And like, yeah, like maybe like a new Cheeky Boys or something. That would be cool. But that was never a franchise. That was like a one-off. Shit, man, I'm like struggling here. Like, I mean, we already had like remasters of like DuckTales. That already happened.
Jim, you don't want a remake of Ace Attorney?
I never played them. I hear they're good. I just never played them. Never played any of the Phoenix Wright games. So yeah, I guess.
Wait, hold on. How about a good version of any Street Fighter game? You see, I got you, Jim.
He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy over here. But yeah, I mean, we already got like a remake of like Bionic Commando that no one liked, and we've gotten a lot of Capcom remakes already, so that makes it tough too. So yeah.
It seems like I gave the perfect answer.
I wouldn't say perfect, but you gave a pretty good one, so there you go. Begrudging here, see?
I really do like that question, but yeah, Capcom, I think they hit most of them. Like Resident Evil would have been an obvious one, but they've been with 7 and now the release of Village, aka 8.
Oh, you know what? Here, I'll make it easy on myself. Like, I know they just ported it like 2 years ago, but I would like to see like a brand new or just a complete from the ground up remaster of Onimusha. That would be cool.
Okay.
I always like those games a lot.
Isn't that new game that we just talked about with Thought Cop? Was it Thought Cops or Snustrunk?
I think it was Vito. We talked about that. The Dark Souls like game, but you're a samurai.
Yes. Isn't it? I always kind of looked at that as like a spiritual successor to if like Dark Souls fucked Onimusha.
I guess you could kind of go that way.
Well, that's the way I went, Jim. So I'm going.
Well, there you go. So
I did love that game. That was actually one of my first, if not the first PS2 game I've had.
Yeah, that was an early one for me too, and like those graphics back then blew me away.
Dude, oh, and that game was fun as shit.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. Never played the second one with Leon the Professional, but
2 was really good too. I only played the first 2, I think. Yeah, I only played the first 2. Like 2 was really like, especially having those like 4 characters and like the friendship and love meters that you could build and crap like that. Like that was really involved. It was almost like too much. Like Onimusha 1 was like the perfect amount of game that would make me want to go back. Because I played Onimusha 1 like 10 times. I think I only played through Onimusha 2 like twice, even though it's a way better game.
Jim, is 2 just have too much story for you?
There's a lot of story. I mean, the girl in it's way hotter, so there's a reason to go back. But
Damn it, Jim!
gotta fap those six generation pixels, Brian.
You know, you don't. I promise you don't. You
don't have to,
you
but you always could. Brian. The world is my oyster when it comes to that, all right? I am never left lacking.
Thank you, G.
Yep.
Or wait, no.
No, that was G. Yep.
That was G. Yeah. Thank you, G.
Yep, thanks, G. And thanks again, everyone. Great questions once again. And for anyone new to the page, once again, that link is patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame.
Awesome. So, Jim, this one is not listed as your gamer's mad, but I assume this will make some people mad.
Didn't seem like it.
It doesn't, but someone out there maybe cares. I know I never did. But from GameIndustry.biz, they have an article here with Zynga to sunset Farmville after 11 years.
I was surprised Farmville was still around.
I didn't. That was my first thing. When you put this up here, I was like, oh, yeah, that was that thing that everyone was obsessed about on Facebook. And for those of you who don't remember,
the good old days.
Yeah, like, it wasn't right when Facebook started, but it was a big part of Facebook of, like, you socially, like, could, like, send crops and presents and shit to people's farms. I never actually did it, but, you know, this was the perfect, like, if your mom or aunt or any older generations got on Facebook, they were doing Farmville, and that's all their wall would become.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say is because Facebook originally started for the college kids, so that's when we all hopped on. And once it opened it up to the public, Farmville was like kind of right there with it. So that was the fucking boomer game where your parents are always sending you like invitations to play Farmville so that they can get the extra crops and their bonuses for you signing in. And you eventually had to like mute all your family members and mute all those notifications. And then you would just stop logging in for a while.
Some would say Farmville is the parent to Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing was out before. Like way before.
Shut up and go with it.
No, I'm not going with it. It was a parent.
Go with it.
It was a parent to Stardew Valley. I'll go with that.
All right. They're all the same game, Jim. Come on. Oh, you farm. Oh, there's turnips. Meh.
This is fun. I'm doing the same thing every day. This is great.
Yeah, that was... I'm amazed it's still a thing.
Like the article says that like there was eventually a Farmville 2, and they're shutting down Farmville 1 because no one supports Flash anymore. Basically, is the reason. So they were working on a Farmville 3, which what?
Okay.
So I mean, there's still 10 million people who pay for AOL. So I guess there's people who still fuck around with Farmville and keep going with it.
Really?
I think the last time I looked into it, and like that was only a couple years ago. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people. Dude, my fucking parents, until like when I finally convinced them to get like high speed internet at the house, like they were still there was like a good year or two where they were still paying for AOL after the fact, just in case. And I'm going, just in case of what? Like, in case
that's crazy.
In case the internet goes out and you're gonna go back to the dial up like that, like I had to be like, stop.
Yeah, but Jim, that's crazy. You did that. You convinced them to get the high-speed internet, but you still didn't get it for your house. Hold on. I need to sip my beer for that one. All right. No, but seriously, the Farmville, here's the deal. I can see that with you, Jim. Could you imagine? Because you're, like, still somehow one of the few, like, in the United States people that obsessively play Clash of Clans.
Oh, sir, please. There is a
and when
strong
that- and
following
when-
in Clash of Clans still.
And when I said in America, and
In America as
we
well.
all 5 years ago, we all had our clans and went crazy, and Jim is still, he's holding that banner, and one day that's going to go away when you have your level, whatever it's up to at that point, and it goes away.
Number 5 in strategy, Brian, on the iTunes, on the App Store.
How mad are you going to be?
5.
How mad would you be, Jim, if that just goes away?
Yeah, I wouldn't be that mad.
After all, but here's the deal.
I'll just play more Among Us.
That's true. But this goes back to that same question Astral asked us, which is, or Dean, some of these games that you dump time into, like I always talk
The Marvel
about
game,
the Marvel game, like you dump money and time, and then it just stopped.
Yep.
And it didn't stop because it's not available. You just stopped playing.
I eventually
So
stopped playing, but then, like maybe 6 months after I stopped playing, like the game went away.
So it's one of those like, should you be investing time into those mobile games?
It's a time waster.
No, it definitely is, but it's like,
Look, Brian, just because
we've been out
I'm
at
finishing up the
social
walls of my
events
level
and
13 base here,
that's my point. Like,
I'm almost maxed out once again until the next update.
And I can't talk because obviously, like, behind me, I have a wall of games. I have my consoles. I have whatever. And we obviously dedicate a lot of time to games. But it's interesting when you do something with a mobile that it is such a fluid system that is going to go away versus like, oh, I'm finally going to put time into this game. I can say I beat that I've collected. But instead you're, leveling up your level 13 walls. Like, do you ever think like, okay, instead of spending time doing that here, maybe I should go play this wall of games I have?
Oh, no, I mean, if I'm home, like, I barely touch Clash of Clans when I'm home. Unless I'm pooping. But, I'm not pooping. But, no, I mean, Clash of Clans is like the poop break at work game. Like, or the fucking poop break at the bar game, or the poop break when I'm out with friends game, or any.
Jim, it's also just when you're out with friends. I've seen you just obsessively be on your phone doing those things.
Sometimes there's a word, Brian. Sometimes I got to help my clan out here. They need those stars, and I'm the one to bring it out. Yes,
but the point of me bringing that up is, I'm sure there has to be people then that maybe there's a few holdouts that are still on their Farmville farm and they got to the perfect thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's a small part of me that feels a little sympathy for those folks. Like, if that was their like number one go-to escape, and there's somebody with I don't even know if you can have the number one farm or whatever it is, and then it just stops. I feel maybe a little bit of empathy for them.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, like, in an old, like, for your point, like, there was a guy I knew in an old clan in Clash of Clans who, like, never did the grinding the way I do, but, like, every time he got paid, he would dump, like, $50 into it to start a couple upgrades and then pay for gems to stop it, like, to immediately finish it. And we'd all be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you can do this for free. It just takes a while. And he's like, nah, just do it this way. What's $50 a paycheck? It's like, all right, man. So, like, those are the kind of people that, like, I'm sure that, like, when the game goes away, then they're the ones who are just going to be like, what? But, I guess also to that fact would be the people, like, kids today. Eventually, they're going to get sick of Fortnite. And we all know kids who, like, they work allowances and shit like that and spend their entire allowance on Fortnite skins. And then Fortnite just recycles with a new season, and then there's all new skins you have to buy. Eventually, they're not going to play it anymore, and there could be hundreds of dollars into it, and then it just, well, it's gone. So eventually you can kind of have to juggle the enjoyment you got for the money you put in, even if it is more ridiculous than compared to, say, a regular game.
No, but here's the deal. I mean, it's unfair to compare kids, because kids, like, you're going to use your allowance. No kid, unless you're just a complete whatever, like, you're not going to be like, let me put my allowance into my savings and make a good future. No, you're going to be impulsive. You're going to be sitting there and go, I want this toy, I want this comic, I want this whatever hobby. So it's like, I fully get, like, the Fortnite skins for kids, like, that's their thing. Like, they get all the enjoyment. I don't even mind that. But it's like, yeah, that's when it switches, like, from when you are a kid to you're older, and this guy you're referring to, maybe that is his only way, and he doesn't do anything else. And
Right.
you know what? For him, that's his $50. He doesn't go out. He doesn't do things. It doesn't make sense because, like you said, you can grind and get it for free. But we've talked many times. These games are designed to get you to try to pay for it because not everyone does want to do the grind. I mean, shit. Even the Call of Duties, the Marvel Avengers, all those games, you can get shit for free, or you can just pay what seems like a small amount at the time and get exactly what you want.
Yep, it's true. I mean, hell, we have a Twitter buddy who's put like $3,000 in the League of Legends or shit like that. So,
Holy shit!
hey, spend your money how you want.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't say who, but
I can tell you after. I mean, he probably wouldn't care anyway. But yeah, I'll tell you after.
damn. Yeah, dude. I mean, here's the deal. I've never looked at like you're gonna get your enjoyment. Everyone's gonna spend their money, or you're gonna be someone who scrolls it all away, and you never have fun to begin with. So it's either have fun now, scroll it away on shit that you enjoy. But no, I was more asking you directly, like knowing how much time you spend on your phone. But it does make sense you're doing it. It's not like you're doing it at home when you could be playing other games.
Yeah, no, that would just be insane.
Yeah, so.
Even I'm not that bad. Mostly.
Yeah, but hopefully, to anyone out there playing Farmville, you moved on to 2 or you're excited for 3.
3's right around the corner. Ha-cha-cha.
Oh, boy. Jim, speaking of right around the corner.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm good at these transitions.
Giving you the old Barry Horowitz pat on the back there.
Wait, hold on. All right.
I need that t-shirt. I need that handprint shirt in the back. That was genius.
So, I feel like we've talked about this now for the past couple podcasts, but it's because news just keeps pouring in.
And this first article is like 2 weeks old, but luckily there's some update today, so we can do both. Topical.
Yeah, so the update from September 29th, we're recording on the 5th, was that Cyberpunk 2077 was ordering people 6-day work weeks ahead of the launch. Now, here's the deal.
Crunch, Brian, crunch. We have to be outraged, Brian. We have to be outraged.
I'm not pissed off at all. Like, that means nothing. If you don't think every single game development team out there is not doing shit like this, I'm more like, who was the shithead who leaked this? Like, this game.
I think they made it public, or I think they made it public.
No, it was an email from a specific employee.
Oh, they sent to Jason Schreier and he blew it up. Yeah.
Yeah, like, dude, you don't think even the biggest AAA Call of Duty sports EA titles, they're probably like it's anyone who's ever been in any industry that requires meeting a deadline. No matter how well you plan for that shit falls apart. In this game in particular, you know there's been lots of issues. So, yeah, it's not crazy to think they're going to tell their people, you're on for this ride. We need to really step up production of whatever, or QA testing, whatever the case is. It's not really news. And I hope, and you're, once again, you being the Twitter guy, I hope most people just understand that and they're not like, oh man, like that's bullshit.
Well, see, there's a real stigma around crunch periods and all this shit because a lot of these places don't pay them for the crunch that they put into it. Like a lot of these places are just like, you got to stay here until you get this done. And I mean, it's not like they're asking like achievable deadlines of shit. So there's a lot of shitty developers out there, and you can go down the list of them, like whoever did Last of Us 2, like they're notorious for their crunch periods and crap like that. So there's a definite stigma. Now, at least CD Projekt Red was paying their people for the extra days. I don't think it was an overtime. I think it might have just been like an extra day of normal time, which in itself is kind of bullshit. But like I said, it's better than nothing, I guess. But
you know what, Jim? The only problem I have with that is, and what I'd say to all of them is, wah. Because I've schlepped hot ass tar on roofs in 100+ degree weathers. I've had shitty cook fry jobs. I've had really shitty jobs that you get paid dirt. And these guys are developing a video game. And I'm not saying it's not hard work. I'm not saying it doesn't suck to be told to work. But at the end of the day, you're like that put it in the confines of what could be a hard job and what you're doing.
Yeah, but there's also the thing too of like, if say you're working 8 hours of backbreaking labor, like you're talking about, and don't get me wrong, like those 8 hours suck hell, but you go home and you're not worrying about it after the fact. You come back tomorrow and break your body again. Where if you're working 80-hour work weeks to get some project done, you're only getting paid for 40 of it. And, at any time they could immediately just, not to say in the labor jobs they can't just boot you off anyway either for slacking off and shit like that. But, they could always say they're booting you off at any time. There's all these stories out there about depression and blah, blah, blah when it comes to it. And I don't think game developers themselves, like the owners of the companies, they make money out the ass. But Johnny Dickhead designing an arm behind a computer for 12 hours, he's not really making that much either.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm saying yeah, and you could make the same argument about what I call real hands-on labor.
Right.
And having had white collar, blue collar, whatever collar jobs you want to fucking name it, there comes a point where if you are at a point where you could be working for a team that's developing a game like this, if they're that shitty, I'm sure you could get a job at a different game development team, or you probably have the skills to get somewhere else. A lot of the menial labor jobs that I've did, it's you're just going to shift it to another shitty menial labor job. Or, depending on if you're a tradesman, especially in construction or something, you might not have as many options. And like I said, it's a different thing, and I don't ever like a worker being taken advantage of. But it's if it's a 6-week period out of you got contracted out to build this game over 7 years, and now you're asked to crunch, it's big picture. Is this the hardest thing you have to do in your life? And if it is your life that terrible?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always a relative thing there. I guess the biggest argument comes down to, just how advantage taken of by people, jobs, bosses, stuff.
Yes. And that's my point. I don't ever want to see people taken advantage of.
But I mean,
these situations, if they have unions.
And when this dropped, the big thing about this was another hubba with CD Projekt Red, where they're at first it was we will never put microtransactions in. They put them in. Then they went, we will never do crunch, even though there was notorious crunch for The Witcher 3. But they were we will not do crunch for this game. And then, well, surprise, surprise, fuckers, they did it. So the update for today, we're recording on the 5th, is the game officially went gold today, which I didn't know until I saw the articles today, means the game's ready to be pressed, basically. It's at that point.
Yeah, and I didn't know that either. I had to look it up. Well, I looked into the article, which is from tomshardware.com.
But it's on 1,000 articles, so wherever you want to find it.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that 1 week of crunch worked. I don't know, but...
Then again, the argument could have been, like we said last time, with the microtransactions, where maybe they wouldn't have needed the crunch if they had focused more on the thing that people were all waiting for instead of that multiplayer game in 3 years when they split up their resources, too. So there's an argument you can be made there.
Oh, I don't think anyone's denying the mismanagement from that group, and it's kind of I hope if somebody did have a terrible experience, they either could leave, or get a bonus if the game does well. Who knows? But at the end of the day, like I said, I just...
I mean, it's a thing in the private sector anywhere where, like you were alluding to, though, there's always going to be deadlines, and there's always going to be, for a lot of, depending on your line of work or your job, there's even people at my job, they're dude, I worked old jobs where, I worked on the weekend for no pay just to meet a deadline. Mm-hmm. It's it's out there. If it's not game development, it's going to be something else. So...
Yeah.
And we've seen
if there's a true deadline needed, you're going to see this kind of thing happen all the time.
Yeah, I mean, hell, at my job, I've had a thing where it's all right, this needs to be done by Friday, and I've stayed late, and I'm salary. I don't get overtime. So there's been times I've had to do it. It happens to everyone. But I just know it's a little bit more rampant, I guess, and abusive with video game devs. But then again, like you said, so, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Yeah, there's lots of opinions to be had on that. But like I said, I'm glad to see their gold. And I've said it before. I do want to see this game succeed because there are so many people excited. But the thing I hope everyone keeps in mind, just keep your expectations in check. Like, don't think it's gonna be this mind-blowing game. Just think it's gonna be a fun action adventure game.
God, if it somehow lives up to the hype, which, my God, the hype.
Yeah, it will never live up to the hype. But just as long as they make a really fun game that people enjoy, and it's not groundbreaking or earth-shattering, accept it. Move on, and just hopefully, like anyone that was too hyped up about this, tampers their expectations in the future, or dampens.
It will be funny to see what state Go's Gold is in this day and age, because it can be a fucking mess, and they just go, this buys us some more time to get a day one patch out there that's like 400 gigabytes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many games have we seen that have been released and we're like, really? Like, what the fuck?
This is what you do with it, huh? All right.
Yeah.
All right, beer time.
All right, Chambers. So, how did the... Sorry, something just fell right here. How did that Sam Adams, was it Jacko Pumpkin? Or
Jacko Pumpkin Ale.
Yep, how'd you like it?
Smooth. Super smooth. Extremely smooth. If you want a smooth, fall
Stop
beer.
saying smooth.
If you want to relaxed and free-flowing, enjoyable brew that tastes like pumpkin pie, can't go wrong with this one.
Nice.
You got to drink a lot of it to get drunk, but yeah, I mean, it's very enjoyable.
And did you stick with that for your... Wait, are you on to your second beer, or was that your first?
That was my first. I'm on my second now.
Okay. So, I finished the first one ages ago. And that was, as Jim and I both said, how do I put this? If you just want to try something and you're someone who likes to stick to their regular lagers, it's not a bad transition. Now, the next one, the Hackers Shore, that's a legit German Marzen, and it's very flavorful, but it is so goddamn smooth. Like any good beer from Germany. I mean, Germany knows their shit when it comes to beer. So it's an excellent, excellent Marzen. But now I'm going back down the path of, I don't want to say lowbrow, but lower quality comparatively with the Shiner Oktoberfest. It's a fine beer. Comes in at... Doesn't say. But I'm going to imagine 5 to 5.5%. So, yeah, just plowing through. These Oktoberfest beers go down really easily.
Yep. And I have moved on to the Schlafly. Schleifly? Comes from...
Shoe fly?
No, there's no shoe, but it is a special release pumpkin ale from the St. Louis Brewery. Comes in at 8% alcohol by volume. And no bits. Wait, is there bits? Yeah. Schlafly Pumpkin Ale blends the spices of the harvest with full-bodied sweetness for a beer that tastes, continued, like a pumpkin ale. A special release, Pumpkin Ale is available for a limited time with new style every few months. I mean, yeah. But yeah, this one is way more amberish in its amber brown. Like the Sam Adams are just like kind of like pure brownish, whereas this has got a lot of amber hues to it. Nice, it's got that good old-fashioned pumpkin spice smell to it, though.
So,
ooh, that is a kick in the face of flavor right there. Interesting.
Damn it.
Ooh, that is just delightful.
Don't you ever go, ooh.
Ooh, that is just, let's see here. Brewed with pumpkin and spices added like cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove.
So every pumpkin spice beer.
Yeah, I don't know. They just got a good mix going with this one. Ooh.
Jim, you're like finally discovering pumpkin spice beers.
I've drank my fair share of pumpkin goddamn spice beers.
All 10. All right,
I'm sure I would have a respectable Untapped if I figured out how to use it in 2012. How dare you, sir?
It'd be filled with a lot of White Claws.
I would taste a rainbow on that one.
See, I'm not even going to take the bait, Jim. So, going from what I said could have been some gamers mad a little bit earlier, we have Jim's reoccurring segment.
My favorite.
Oh man, this is a fucking unique one.
Fucking nerds.
So look at the exact link we're posting below, but I'm sure you can see examples of it everywhere. Um, People reacting to Minecraft Steve being in Smash. I'd say it's going over, well, like most. I feel like there's always a little bit of a bitch fest, no matter what characters, because there's always a contingent.
Always.
Of
People bitched when Terry Bogard went in. People bitched when it was, Fire Emblem character number 30. People bitch. Like, people just bitch. Like, there's such a bitch community around fucking Smash that bitch, bitch, rich. And then there's the other side of the Smash community that's rape, rape, rape. So it's just bitching and raping. That's all Smash players do.
Whoa, wait. Don't just throw that in there.
In Minecraft. They do it in Minecraft. They don't do it in real life. In Minecraft. Can't sue us if I say in Minecraft.
Don't even know what that means, but we're going to move on to the fact
that... It's a meme, Brian.
I don't... Once again, I'm not the internet guy, Jim, so I'm not going to even ask you about it. But here's the deal. That makes, like, Smash, especially this newest game, to me, like, it's getting all the major icons from as many major games as it can. I honestly kind of think it makes sense, given their choices of some people they put in there. It's like, yeah, it might have let people down. I know there's other characters they want, but, like, is it really that shocking? It's going to be a stupid character, but, like, a lot of people they put in there, it's like, how is it going to fit in this world? And give Nintendo credit for this. They somehow always make, regardless of the character, make them work in Smash games. Not always saying they're the most well-balanced or they make the most sense, but, like, they make them work one way or another.
Minecraft is the biggest game of all time.
Yes.
If you want, and Smash is turned in from a mascot thing into a celebration of gaming history, it makes sense for fucking Steve to be in there. And of course his palette swaps are like the Enderman and some other shit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just people who are bitching for the sake of, I don't want the stupid kitty game to be in there. Shut the fuck up. You have enough of your Z tier fucking JRPG characters. You have enough of that bullshit in there. And the people who are bitching, like, in the announcement video, oh, Sakurai looks so sad to be saying this. You know how you said wham to the developers for fucking, crunch time with other things? Mm-hmm. Wah, Sakurai. You've basically had almost 100% creative control this entire time, which is, like, unheard of. And for good reason. Like, how you just said Nintendo makes these new characters work, it's really because of Sakurai. Like, he rebounces everything. Like, the guy puts his fucking work in there. Every once in a while, I guess Nintendo can lay a hammer down and go, we need a character who's going to sell DLC.
Yes.
If you want a character who's going to sell DLC, you put fucking Steve from Minecraft in there. And just to be a dick, my immediate response after that was, okay, throw Fortnite in next. And
that's what I was just about to say. I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, we'll see a Fortnite.
Want salt. I want the salt. Put Fortnite in Smash.
It's just, you know what? I don't give two shit. Like you're saying, the amount of obscure JRPG and whatever, you got fucking Ice Climbers in there. You got Game & Watch. Don't tell me that Minecraft all of a sudden makes it the kiddie game. Like, Smash is a kiddie game.
Oh.
The most non-kiddie part of... No, I don't give a shit. The most non-kiddie part of that is Snake. That's it. Like, everything else, Nintendo is kiddie, period. If you throw in some Doom guy or some Mortal Kombat characters, it ain't such a kiddie game anymore. But, Castlevania was a little bit edgy there, but it kind of not really. So, don't say that Minecraft is the all of a sudden kiddie element of it. So, it's just...
I don't want my normie shit in Smash. Shut the fuck up, you goddamn Final Destination, no items, no fun, stupid millisecond learning for your fucking reversal. Fucking shut up.
Yeah, I really do want them to now put in... I want them to put in Fortnite, and I want them to put in Striker for Mortal Kombat.
Though I will say the best thing to come from them putting Minecraft Steve in was the flood of jokes of people going, oh, well, good to see, them put a kitty character in so now that they can draw more into abuse and shit like that. So, For those of you who don't know, there's been a lot of controversy in the last year or so of prominent Smash tournament players getting a little bit of teensy bit of hot water for grooming young kids and shit like that. So it's happened only a few dozen times. Only a few dozen.
Damn it. So Jim, part of me wants to just move on, but you know how my mind works. So when you say that, number one, what do you mean when you're talking about the competitive gaming side?
Yeah, like the Evo players and shit like that.
Okay. Aren't most
godless nerds who finally get some a little fame and recognition and abuse it so they can get laid finally? Yes.
Well, I was also going to say, aren't most of them themselves young teenagers?
No. I mean, there's a lot.
They're not.
No, I think most competitive, especially in the fighting game community, I would say most are young 20s. I'm speaking out my ass because I don't follow it, but there's all these controversies that come out are always 22-year-old is grooming a 15-year-old or this 23-year-old blew this 13-year-old or shit like that. So yeah, there's been those stories.
Well, once again, I'm glad I don't follow it. But yeah, a professional video game player being a creep.
Not a shock.
Yeah, it's oh my god, this high-paid professional athlete was cheating on his wife. Oh, no, you mean people with power, do shitty things? That sucks. But, yeah, if Minecraft does draw in any type of crowd, that would be catastrophic if that does result in anything like you're describing. Hopefully not, though.
I mean, obviously, hopefully not, but it was an easy dunk, and boy, did people take it.
Of course. I mean, people suck.
It's true.
And
literally and figuratively, apparently in the Smash community.
God damn it, Jim!
Kaboom! Pow pow! Bang bang!
Speaking of sucking and stupid decisions by Smash, they decided to add in Travis Touchdown as a Mii skin, which
I think it's cool.
No, it's fucking stupid. From a obscure ass Wii game that didn't sell that good.
It sold good for the Wii. That's one of those games that
did not sell that good.
By actual Wii game standards for an actual game.
Shut up. How did it sell compared to Wii Sports, Jim?
Well, it's not a packing game. It's not a fair comparison.
How did it do compared to Wii Sports?
Probably did about a tenth of
it. I was gonna say, did it even meet 5% of that?
Probably not.
Jim, just because you have a weird boner for Wii, and maybe this is I don't even know if this is a game you own. I'm sure you do, or I'm sure you've played it. It's a very stupid thing, and this is why they need to have things like Steve from Minecraft, because they're going to throw in Travis Touchdown, the guy nobody knows, nobody cares about, and it's from almost as obscure as you could get. And they just had to throw them in there. So it's there you go, diehards of Nintendo.
There's more obscure than No More Heroes. They could have thrown in a fucking Wonderful 101 character that people pretend to care about.
Jim, obviously there's more obscure. I'm speaking in hyperbole. So my point is, don't goddamn interrupt my rant with a goddamn fact. You son of a bitch. It's just the juxtaposition of you writing in the people freaking out about too popular of a character as a kid game, but then they turn around and throw this in there. It's well, yeah, that's why they need to throw in the popular characters, because they're going to also throw in this. I thought I also saw they throw in, oh my god, it's going to kill me, the guy from Undertale as a skin.
Oh, yeah, Sans. I think Sans is a skin, too.
Yeah.
And which that makes sense. Undertale was a meme game, but it was also huge. He makes more sense than Travis Touchdown. I'll say that.
So that's my point. So as long as there's Travis Touchdowns being in there, throw in every other popular troped video game under the sun.
Yeah, he was the one. It's what Smash always does. You get the character that even from the very beginning, you get the characters that are the of courses, and then you get the characters that are oh, cool, he's here.
I'm still waiting for my Excitebike character, Jim.
I'm surprised you. I mean, what are you gonna have a guy riding on a motorcycle the entire time? What do you do with that?
Yes.
I mean, you gotta have that already. Wario rides a motorcycle, not the whole time.
Okay,
but he rides a motorcycle.
Well, he's not Excitebike, is he?
No.
Jim, they have Game and Watch.
I think everyone's just going to bitch until they finally put Waluigi in, and I hope Sakurai never does it. Just for the meme.
It does. It is kind of weird he hasn't put him in. It seems spiteful.
I think it is. I think it's 100% spite at this point.
Yeah.
And that's spite I can respect. Keep it up.
Jim, you also respect guys that collect the same version of the game just to fill up a goddamn cabinet.
Keep it up. Which he did. He did finish his cabinet.
Well, I hope it burns in a fire.
It's not very nice, Brian.
Who says I'm nice?
It's a good point.
All right, so...
Seemed unnecessarily mean.
Jim, it's the fact that you brought it to my attention and you love it so much. And you only love it so much because you know it would piss me off.
Correct.
Exactly. All right, so speaking of recurring bits and getting back to fun, Jim,
that was fun. Gamers Mad is always fun.
No, Gamers Mad is fun. I'm saying Travis Touchdown is not fun.
Dick. But go on,
Did
yes.
you get a chance to listen to what I sent in here this week?
Yep.
Okay, so a recurring bit of gaming music where either video game music or real life songs are inspired by, the opposite. And I'm going to be on a roll for a while unless somebody sends us of just gaming music that's inspired by real life music.
It's harder to find real life music that's inspired by games.
It's very, very tough. Without them being super obvious and calling it out that they're sampling tracks or whatever.
Yeah.
So this week is debatably one of the most popular, if not the most beloved Zelda games with Link to the Past.
Oh, yeah.
And specifically the Death Mountain theme. I'll be honest, until I really thought about it, it didn't hit me right away. But I have the link below. Listen to this Death Mountain theme, and right away it should conjure images of the Imperial March from Star Wars. What'd you think when you heard it?
Sorry, was burping. Yeah, you know what? It took a little bit for me. Like, I heard the opening, I was like, all right, that's a little bit like the Imperial March. And then when it kind of kicked in, I was like, it's still kind of similar, but like this is the first one in a while that hasn't been like a slam dunk. Like
it's not
there's a few little there's like a few little like fills or like little 4-chord like real quick progressions where it's like, okay, that's kind of ripped off from it. But then there's a lot of it where it's just its own thing. So it's not as direct, but I can see like I think they listened to that idea and they just went, all right, here's the Star Wars March. Give us something like that. And this is what it came up with.
They basically vanilla iced it. They're like doon 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 doon.
They added more than a ding. I'll give them that.
No, they what they added, it was just, it does sound like that doon 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 doon, and then they added like a goofy little in between, but then it repeats. So it's like it's got the foundation of Imperial March, which it honestly with Death Mountain, with given this sense of like what you're fighting. It also kind of matches that feel, if you will. So after hearing it, I was kind of like, yeah, I can see this one. It's not as, like I said, it's not as completely clear as some of the other ones I've given, but I think there's enough here to say that it is pretty well inspired by it.
Right.
If not a complete ripoff.
No, I can go with that.
All right. So let us know below, guys, once again.
And if you have suggestions, if you know of songs that are ripped from here and there, send our way. We love them.
Absolutely. Speaking of recurring bits, because I put the next two topics in this week, which is better? So I put this in here, and I hope you understand.
Yeah.
Gun arcade games, and I'm meaning when you have a peripheral like the actual like Time Crisis or like those sniper games when you have the full gun, or racing arcade games where you get in the actual car, you have the shifter, you have the pedal, like you're fully immersed in one or the other. Which one is better to you?
This was when I saw you write this in, I was like, ooh, son of a bitch, because I really like them both. And in this day and age, those are kind of the only ones that are still around that aren't like the mobile game ports that are arcade games now that you see like Dave and Buster's. So for like pure games that'll either be a racing game or like gun game, I'm gonna go with racing games just because I like both equally in the arcade setting, but I think racing games generally translate better to the home console ports than the light gun games ever did.
Wait. I want to be very clear. I mean strictly in the arcades.
Oh well, suck my ass. Strictly in the arcade, I will probably then go with gun games because racing games always seem to be the most fun when it's one of those ones where it's like a Daytona or like a Rush where it's like 6 cabinets lined up in a row and you can all play each other. Whereas like if you're playing a light gun game, you can do it yourself or it's even better with a person with you. So I think they're a little more versatile for whatever your, social, blah, blah, time waster kind of stuff is. I think I would rather, like, myself enjoy a gun game on my own or with a person more than just, like, sitting down to a racing cab. They're fun, but I just think, like, the computer AI is always, like, just kind of, it either kicks your ass or it's way too easy. There's, like, no in between. Whereas with a gun game, you kind of, like, can build on it like a normal game.
Yeah. I put this in here and I didn't have a clear-cut answer because, like you said, when I go to an arcade, those are the only two things I play. And I don't count racing games where for some reason they have a pedal or the steering wheel up top and the pedals. I'm talking you sit in a seat that feels like a car.
Right.
The Daytona is kind of the Cadillac of those circumstances.
Or like the cruisins or the rushes or those motorcycle games that are around here and there, shit like that. Yeah.
So for me, it boils down to if you're playing with another person and it's your friend, there's something about those racing games that you're always going against them. And when you're both going, it's way more of an intense experience because you're facing them. When you're doing a gun game, you're always playing with the person. So you're teamed up.
Yeah.
Me, ever since I was a kid, two things I've always been obsessed with were cars and guns, but I always had a little bit more towards the gun. And games like, as stupid as it was, Time Crisis or whatever, the little mechanical action of the slide going backwards when you shoot, when you play the sniper game and you look in the scope, when you have maybe it was a Time Crisis, but which one was the one with the submachine gun that you hold?
I mean, that was a lot.
What was that? House of the Dead? No,
House of the Dead and Time Crisis were always the handguns. The fucking submachine guns.
Maybe that was Time Crisis 3 or something.
Maybe, or like Terminator Arcade or...
Oh, yeah, that's another one. That was a great... But, there's something the feel, when you're a kid and you play with toy guns.
Well, you got that haptic feedback with both of them, though, because, you always had, the steering wheel that'll, go back into position or jerk you around and shit like that when you hit a wall.
That's what I mean. It's so tough. It's not an indictment on how fun. Both of them are, I'd say, equally as fun, but they're fun for different reasons. And Jim kind of hit the nail on the head. I could have a lot of fun playing the gun game by myself, and when I play with a partner, it's fun. But if it's for a multiplayer purpose, you get way more intense and way more into it on racing games.
Yeah.
When you're playing by yourself, and in general, for my preference, I go gun games. So I know me, if I were to walk in an arcade today and I saw a gun game and a racing cabinet, I'm probably going to the gun game first. That's just my personal preference. But once again, racing games, you can't beat that excitement of being side by side and you're like Jim's saying, you're sitting in the seat, you're racing, you got people around you watching. It's just so fun. And I think those two for me are the epitome of, I was never the guy that went up and wanted to do the fighting game and getting a line and see if I could be the best, or I loved X-Men and Simpsons, but gun games and racing were always a top tier for me.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that I completely missed the boat as a kid on the old arcade scene. So I never got to play some random shmup in an arcade, or the fact that Ghouls and Ghosts was originally an arcade, a platformer. That seems like such a foreign concept to me for what I have ever experienced in an arcade. Because, like, unfortunately, like, for the last 10 years, like, you go to an arcade or, like, there's a little arcade section somewhere. Like, there's that Plants vs. Zombies game or shit in there. Like, or the Fruit Ninja touchscreen game. So,
Yeah.
arcades are definitely a shell of what they used to be.
But, yeah, but, like, you, though, I could. The only other option I could throw in here, and for me it would have been too easy, but throw in pinball games against these two.
Ooh.
Like I said, for me, pinball's fun when there's nothing else to play, but I would never choose it over a gun game or a racing game. And I know you're more
pinball I can easily go to. Like, I think my hierarchy there, like, in an arcade would be... I don't know. It's still... I would probably still go for the gun games I like first, and then I would play pinball before I would ever touch a racing game. I think...
Really?
Yeah, probably. Like, I hit the occasional racing game, but, like, I don't know. I guess because you don't get as much with people anymore, or maybe just because
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if me and you were together, I'd want to play you in a racing game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, by myself or whatever, yeah, then I'm just going straight gun or something else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I'm by myself, I'm going to be hitting the basketball game more than I'm going to be hitting a racing game.
That's true. Yeah. Basketball, that's another one that doesn't matter who you are, whether you like basketball or not, there's something fun about that.
Goddamn right.
But yeah, no. So it was a tough one. So let us know what you think below. Would you prefer gun games, racing games? Which one is better to you and why? Make sure you write out the reasoning. All right, and rounding out tonight and our last topic, we got overrated, underrated, and Jim spoiled it, but I wanted to throw out Among Us. It's hit a lot of people being obsessed with it. A lot of streamers have been streaming it, and it's been out for a while, but now it's getting the hype. Does it deserve? Is really the question. So Jim, I'll let you go first, and I know it's tough because, in all honesty, what have we put? You've maybe put 2 weeks into it. I've been a week into it.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're coming at this from a fairly fresh perspective.
And we're coming at it from the playing against randos and just chatting and not like the real fun of like being in like a group Discord call as we all play together and shit like that.
You know, and also to be clear, we're only doing this on our phones. So we're not doing it on Steam. So it's strictly
$5. Get out of here.
Well, that gets part
These
of the
pretzels are in the friggin' thing. $5. Get out of here.
But no, so what do you think now that you've spent some time with it and you're not very good at it, but
Did get voted out pretty fast my last time as an imposter. But it's hard to say because like as a game itself, like yeah, it's overrated. But as an experience, like I guess I gotta go underrated. Like for all the meme games that have been out lately, like a lot of meme games I crap out on like after a couple playthroughs. Like Minecraft I never kept up with past like maybe a week. Or like Fortnite I tried and then after a couple games I was like meh. Or like Untitled Goose Game, like I don't care. Like all these meme games that come and go, I think for a meme game and especially with accessibility, you kind of can't beat it with Among Us. Like, it's a game that you can play with a really structured setup as you, like, try to get people together for it. It's a game that's just as fun with randos and you're just typing to each other. It's got, like, a surprising amount of strategy that you can put into it. It's got a lot of luck. It's just, there's a surprising amount going on, and I guess good on them for finally catching on after 2 years of no one saying anything about it. So... yeah, I guess just for especially the fact that no gameplay experience will ever be the same with it because it's all based around the human factor. So I guess I gotta go with underrated. Like, I'm sure there's gonna be the haters out. It's weird because you don't even see that much hate for it right now. Like, normally with, like, anything that's, like, popular and overly popular, it's like, you know, there's always gonna be that, like, big subset of people who are just gonna detract it for the sake of it. But maybe the memes are too good at this point right now that people, like, no one's bashing it at all. So, and maybe it's still it's only been popular for like 2 months now, so maybe it's still that fresh in our mind, but I can't think of a reason to say a free game that I have a different experience with every time is overrated. So I guess I have to say underrated.
All right, I was really hoping you'd say overrated. God damn it.
Too bad.
Well, all right. I'm underrated for a lot of similar reasons as Jim. I've always thought games can be whatever you want them to be, but at the end of the day, I want to get an experience out of it.
As long as they aren't cute, right, you son of a bitch?
Cute's not an experience, it's just an aesthetic, Jim. But, like, I value experiences in a game. And Jim hit the nail on the head. This game, you're not really, like I said at the beginning, you're dealing with the psychology of other people. You're trying to convince them. It basically takes that scenario from The Thing, the movie, and applies it to a game. And I know there's been plenty of other movies and plots that have used this, but it's like...
Clue.
Who has, Clue. And it also just coincidentally is hitting a stride when we're all worried about who could be infected with this thing that could be deadly.
Coof.
So, yes. Thank you, Jim. But so it's like, it's just the right game for the right time to get out that, like, excessive fear, that worrying. And at the same time, it really is like, there's nothing special about the gameplay. It really is like Pokemon Go, where when you think about the gameplay of that, there's no gameplay to it. It's just an excuse to get you out in the open, maybe talking with strangers, maybe doing other things, but your tasks don't matter. You don't worry about that. Like, your whole point is, oh shit, people are dying left and right. Can I figure out who this is? It's like playing Clue, but with everyone else and complete strangers. And,
you know what? That is one bitch I'll have about it, goddammit. Fucking, do you know how many goddamn times I've been called sus for actually doing the goddamn fucking tasks?
But Jim, you generally are sus, and I have played with you, and the mistake you make every time is you spend a little too much time following others and not going directly to your task. So you're a little sus.
I am not sus. I'm a good boy.
But like, so the games can get really, like, you get really intense and hyper focused. And the most fun I've had, and I'm sure it would be fun with friends. The only problem I would have with friends is you're going to naturally mix in your thoughts and feelings. Like, if you're trying to just screw over a friend, then you take away from the actual having, like...
This is why I can't play with you pricks, because I get kicked off every time. And you just be like, haha, Jim's mad again.
Well, Jim, you also got kicked off right away, but you were the imposter.
That was because I didn't know what I was doing, and I goddamn fucking vented. I vented
away.
right in front of people, and they went running to the goddamn emergency button, and I lost immediately.
But my point is, like, playing with randos allows you kind of a clean slate. Sometimes you might have people that are playing together. But some of the most fun I've had is when you do play with random people, and then you have the option to play again with the same people. And sometimes, I'd say at least half of them continue to keep playing, and you build a little bit of rapport. Like, I've come in, I'd be like, what the hell was wrong with you guys? They'd be like, yeah, sorry about voting you off. Or something like that. But, like, it's all playful, and all in all, it's not like a shitty community like you see, I feel like, in other multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it's very, like... Okay, I fucked up. Almost everyone who's made a big
this ain't
mistake
Overwatch.
has been like, my bad. Exactly. It's not Overwatch. It's not Call of Duty. It's not all this other shit. It's like, all right, my bad. I voted you off.
We've talked about it before. It's probably like the friendliest community so far that you've seen since Friday the 13th.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you are so quick to, like, you're going to get really angry if somebody fucks you over. But then you kind of realize, like, you might do the same mistake the next game. So everyone knows, like, there's no perfect thing here. And most people have been really cool. I have to go underrated because you're not going to get that experience with any other multiplayer video game. Because it doesn't feel like a video game. It does feel like a social experiment. Like a psychological test, if you've ever been a part of it or read about how they run these. This is what this game is. Like, they give you a limited amount of information, give you some things to do, things happen. you make choices based on whatever, thoughts you have. So I have to go underrated. The only way this game I think would be overrated is when you get people in there who are purposefully being chaotic and they are.
You were so butt mad about that one goddamn game.
No, I'm not even talking about you. I dealt with another game where it was the same deal. So for those of you who don't play it, the whole thing is you're on a ship, you do tasks, and one of them, usually one, it can be more, but I've still never seen more than one. The imposter goes around and kills the crewmates.
Oh, the three imposter games are wild.
I've never played it, but there's an option to go and call an emergency meeting, and I played with people that literally every chance they get, they just call it and don't do anything with it, and it just slows down the game, and you're like, okay, this person's just being a dick, and then usually there's an option you can kick them out, or you just vote them off. They're like, okay, even if they're not the imposter, I'm tired of dealing with this person. And it's sometimes you can clearly tell that's the only purpose that person has of playing game. Is just not playing the game the way it's meant to be played. But it hasn't happened enough to actually annoy me. But when it does happen, that is one of those things where I'm like, oh god, this game is gonna really suck.
The old chaotic neutral.
Yeah, especially if you... Well, it's not even neutral at that point. It's just chaotic evil, because it's it's ruining the fun for everyone, and you're just doing it for no good damn reason. But, yeah, it's got to be underrated. I don't know anyone who would argue against it.
It'll just be the contrarians who don't like the popular thing.
Which is usually you, which is why I thought you'd go overrated. And I'm not saying that as a mean thing. I'm saying that...
Nah, I can do that a lot. But no, what do you call it? Yeah. Actually, and you know what? Old Jim would have been that way. But I think being the Twitter guy, I'm so sick of seeing the gaming community just bitch about the popular thing just for the sake of bitching about it. That I kind of just go the other way. And the second something's popular, I'm just I'll try it out. Fortnite, I don't particularly like it, but I think the hate towards it's completely overblown.
No, it's a good game.
And people, if you call it fork knife, you're not witty. And there's stop. It's the most popular game in the world for a reason. It's not the deepest, it's not the most hardcore, but it's the game people actually want to play. So, shut up.
Well, Jim, as you and I are both children with last names that are just primed for stupid little riffs on it, it's really come up with something better.
It's just, again, what the game is made with Minecraft, it's just why are you bitching about the popular thing being in there? You should be happy that the mainstream's going to be, well, of course not. All the fucking nerds want to keep their little thing to be their thing, because, man.
They're equivalent, when people get like that, they're equivalent to music nerds who get so upset when a band they like starts getting discovered. And now they're too mainstream and
yeah, I mean, and that's always the worst. Of course, there's always the occasional, what do you call it? Say a Kings of Leon out there who completely changed their sound to get popular, which, hey, it worked. They got popular. So I can see the old fans being bitchy. But then there's always the bands that come up from the other ground and they don't change their way and they get super popular and everyone's you sold out. Shut the fuck up. No one does things to not make money and to not get laid. Yeah. That's the only reason anyone does anything in entertainment ever.
Let's reorganize that order. It's always get laid first and then make money.
Get laid and make money. If you're not in any form of entertainment, the people, even fucking YouTubers and shit like that who are what do you call it? I would do this without any of this or that or shit like that. At the end of the day, you still want some kind of attention. It's the only reason anyone ever puts their face in front of a camera and throws it on the internet. Yeah. It's the only fucking reason. You want some little bit of attention. Absolutely. You're not better than anyone else. Stop lying.
Yeah. No.
I hate you all.
That shit drives me. Jim, your anger monkeys are too strong.
I have different anger monkeys now. They've just shifted from one way to another.
Jim, your anger monkeys are very interesting over the past however many years.
Gotta be angry at something. It just depends on what's pissing me off at the time.
Oh, Jim. But no, Among Us, I really do want to hear from you guys. If you've played it, if you see it, if you don't like it, just let us know why. Hopefully that reason isn't like Jim saying it's not hating on it because of the memes and the popularity. I'm more interested. Have you actually played it, and do you dislike it? I'm the first to say, like, there's nothing to praise about the gameplay. Like, you could argue it's simplistic, it says, but that's ultimately the point of it. The vehicle of which allows you to do the social interactions is the whole point of the gameplay. So it's not. So if somebody was bitching about, like, well, all you do is stupid tasks, it's like, yep, that's the point. So, very interested to see what you guys have to say about that.
I would love to see someone who like fucking loves Animal Crossing bitch about the stupid tasks in what do you call it, in Among Us. That would be some shit.
Well, Jim, it's too violent because there's no turnips.
I don't even hate on Animal Crossing. I don't care. That's your game. Fine, enjoy it.
Oh, I don't care. I can still make fun of it. I make fun of even games I like, Jim.
Yeah, but you're quick to jump into it's not a real game territory.
No, everything's a game. I just don't like you and I have talked about, like, your love for Parappa and things like that. It's definitely a game. I've played through it. I don't understand the love for it, and it's just not my taste. And I'll never say like it's good just because everyone else likes it.
Fair.
So
I don't know.
So there you go.
I already have ideas and cared. This episode went on too long.
So Jim, how did that last beer treat you?
Good. This says, you know what? This does not taste like an 8%er at all. Super smooth, full of. It has that perfect balance of like the pumpkin spice with all the other spices, but it's not overpowering in one way or the other. Like there's always gonna be that pumpkin beer that always just throws way too much cinnamon at you, and then you get that like cinnamon burn, and it's not enjoyable. You kind of get that with your first sip or two, but it like instantly mellows out with the other spices. So it has a really good balance going on here. And yeah, for an 8%er, it does not taste like that at all. This is a dangerous one. So if you want to get yourself messed up on some pumpkin beer, but you don't really like pumpkin beer that much, this is the one to get.
Nice. Yeah, and the Shiner Oktoberfest, way better than the Narragansett.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I mean, but Shiner's also, like I said, that's a lower tier like that. You and I talked about it.
Shiner's like the PBR of Texas, isn't it?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like the very mass-produced, known beer from Texas, but somehow, like, they do put out some flavorful shit. So, I don't know. I don't know enough about Texas beer to know whether it really is like a PBR or not.
There are Yingling.
But I would say obviously the German, the Hocker, sure, is probably the best. But Shiner, like I said, man, this Oktoberfest, it's one of the ones, the first one I would recommend to people if you don't already have a palate for, Marzen or Oktoberfest style beers. So,
cool.
With that, we want to once again thank everyone for listening. If you haven't already, please make sure subscribe to us on YouTube and on iTunes and anywhere else you can find podcasts. We truly appreciate it.
Stitcher and Spotify.
Yep. If you can, give us a rating. Even if you don't like us, give us the highest rating. Bash the shit out of us in the comments. We will listen to them. We'll respond. But please make sure you interact with us.
Yes, if you give us a bad review, we will read it. Just give us a high score and then bash us. We don't care. We'll read it on the show.
Yeah. But with that, guys, we want to say thank you once again. Truly appreciate it. Have a good night and cheers.
Cheers, guys.